Hey guys, Doug the Michigan Piper coming to you from the Pipe Rest, and today I'm starting a new series. Been thinking about doing this for a while, and I wasn't sure. To tell you the truth, I was actually thinking about starting another channel, and I decided that, I've got enough emails and channels and videos and stuff I gotta go through. I just make a series out of it on this channel. And if you follow me at all in the past, you know that a lot of I have series that I've done, and I just kind of lump them together. One is the Old Ways series, and I don't remember, the Analogies of Faith was another one, and there's been I think 3 series if I remember right. Oh, my poems one is another one. But now I thought I'd start a new one, Doug Outdoors. And all it is not necessarily following me along on adventures and stuff like that. To be honest, that'd probably be pretty boring. But just some of the stuff that I do outdoors for those people that like the outdoors. By the way, today I am smoking my Dr. Grabow Savoy, and in it I'm smoking some Eileen's Dream, and with it I'm having some Sam Adams Oktoberfest. So anyway, I decided to do this series just to kind of, I don't want to say show you a day in the life of Doug, but more about those that may be interested in getting outdoors more, have the urge to get outdoors more, or just don't feel like getting outdoors at all but have the interest in knowing about it. So I'm also trying to do it to cover the spectrum of everybody from barely into outdoorsy stuff to just way out there into outdoorsy stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I don't expect to do a whole lot of these videos back to back or anything like that, but that's the goal. So today's video is about deer hunting, specifically deer hunting in Southwest Michigan at the peak of the rut. And I'll take you on site here in a minute, but I wanted to explain a little bit for those that don't necessarily understand whitetail deer hunting in Michigan, how it works. So in Michigan, October 1st is bow season, and that's the beginning of the cycle that we go through in the fall, from the deer are all herded up to the point where the bucks start fighting and they separate, and then they separate from the does, and then the does run in packs, and the bucks all separate and kind of go on their own. When that begins, they call that the rut period, because the bucks are ready to mate, and the does are not. At the height of the rut, what you have is bucks who are normally a very ghost of the woods type animal like the does are, that is like a teenage kid with an extra hormone shot, and they just want to find a doe and have his way with her. So or with them, I should say. So this year the rut hit late, so there's a little bit of science to the rut, the time when that hits, but really it's sort of like the second coming. It's like you see warning signs, but you really don't know exactly when it's going to hit. So this year it's hit late. Today is November 20th, and we're right at the peak of the rut, which is really late for Southwest Michigan. I think weather has had a little bit to do with that, but we just this last week and a half have gotten hammered with some snow, and you'll see in the video I'm getting ready to show you here in a little bit. So the snow actually makes it easier for hunting, because you can track them, you can see what kind of deer movement there is through their tracks. The tracks tell a lot of stories. Sort of like if you're hunting in a muddy area, same thing. The other thing that's really nice about hunting in the snow is that you can see the deer better. The problem with that is they can see you better as well. So it's going to be fun trying to keep this thing lit while I'm talking. So I won a raffle this year and last year to be able to hunt a local county park, and they allowed me on there to hunt for 5 days. And today was the last day, so my son and I went out to pick up my blind and all that stuff, my chair and stuff, and I figured I'd take the opportunity to take you guys out with me, show you what I see in the woods, especially during the peak of the rut, and go from there. So back to bow season. It starts October 1st. One of the first things that you'll see once the deer start separating is the bucks will start marking their territory, and they do that by doing what they call rubs. And they take a tree and they rub their antlers up and down this tree, because in the beginning of the season their antlers still have felt. And basically what the deal is that the antlers, which I believe, if I remember right, are the fastest growing organ on the face of the earth. So they grow to a certain length, and they have this felty type material on them that is very vascular. And what happens is when the antlers have reached their peak, then that felt basically just comes off, and they need to get it off. So the rub gives them two purposes. One, the rub actually marks the tree for their territory, but it also gets that felt off. And what's found just recently is that deer actually eat that felt, which is kind of nasty because it's all bloody and stuff when it comes off. They actually, I think it was Deer and Deer Hunting magazine caught it on camera. This deer is just gnawing on this thing. It looks like something out of a horror movie, but that's what they do. They get a lot of nutrients out of it. So once that's done, the bucks start fighting. So that's why in early season, you can get bucks to come in just by rattling antlers together, like two bucks fighting, and they'll actually come in. It usually happens later in the season when they're starting to get, more protective of the does. And please keep in mind, this is Michigan, Southwest Michigan. For the most part, the earmarks for what I'm talking about are the same, but you go to Texas or Louisiana or someplace like that, there are going to be differences. So anyway, then once you get into November 15th in Michigan is when shotgun season starts. And usually they're on the downswing right after the rut, where the bucks have found, several does for their own little area, and they herd them and they just bed down for a few days and have fun. We're not there yet. So what I'm going to do is take you in the woods here and show you what I've been dealing with as far as access to my blind, show you a scrape, which I'll explain in the video here, and show you my blind set up, and we'll go from there. So guys, enjoy, and I'll talk to you in a minute. So this is the trek I had to take every day, which through here it's not too bad. I've broken off a lot of limbs. You see all this stuff, all these trippers here. But this was all in a bedding area, but this is the only way I could get in to get to my hunting spot from what the park said, and I was kind of going by what they said. So you do what you can. You can't see it now, but there's a bunch of scrapes, which I'll explain here in a little bit what scrapes are. But this was all full of scrapes through here before this big old tree fell down right across my path. So now we got to duck under that and keep going. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you the difference between fresh tracks and old tracks when you're looking in the snow. If you look at these tracks right here, see how it's kind of rounded? They're kind of half filled in, and it's kind of some shade there. But then if you look over here on these tracks, you can see how the edges are a lot more sharp. And on the edge here, you can see you got some turned up snow that doesn't blow around. That's what you're looking for fresher tracks. I guess something else I wanted to show you, what a lot of bucks will do in season is, you see these are some older tracks right here, but they come right down through. Of course the leaves are kind of screwing it up, but right down through the center of that lane. And basically that's another indication. You got one set of tracks, usually a larger set of tracks, and it's that buck. He's just gotten to the point where he doesn't care. He's looking for does, and they'll just walk right down through these lanes right in the middle. So if you know you're in the peak of the rut time, which is not necessarily easy to figure out, then these are one of the best places to hunt, is any lane that's an open lane like this or an open trail in the woods, because they get to the point where they just don't care. Okay guys, this is what we're looking for. I'll get my hand on there for a size comparison, but that's a good sized deer. So you have your separation in the points. The more closed off, the smaller that is, the smaller deer obviously. So when you see tracks like that, especially in the peak of the rut like we have right now, and they're by themselves, that's a buck all day long. You usually don't have does out by themselves. Okay guys, now we're out actually in the trail area. I'll show you really wide, super wide trails here. They're probably 20 feet across or better. I wanted to show you this scrape here. So it's kind of got some snow in it now, but if you look at this depression in the snow, a buck has come and made a new scrape in the last couple of days. And the reason I know that's because this is my way in all the time. And you can see right there's another good hoof print. And right there is not a coyote, that's our dog. So, but by the way, speaking of our dog, this is Luna, our dog. And but that's what a scrape is. So, and what happens is, I'll try to get it here. I don't know if I can see that or not, but there's a limb hanging right there. And what happens is these bucks will come over, these limbs are hanging up, like right, these things here. And they'll go down here, they'll scrape a lot, they'll scrape everything away. And they will, actually, and it sounds kind of nasty for guys that aren't used to it, but they'll actually urinate on their back legs because that's where their glands are at. And then that leaves their scent there. And then when they're done, they'll go up to that branch and they'll lick that branch and rub their face on it. When the does are what they call hot or in season, or however you want to say it, lack of a better word is horny, they'll come back to these spots here and they'll urinate in the spot as well. That's why Tinks sells what's called Tink 69 or doe and heat urine. And it's literally hot doe urine in a bottle, and you drop that in different places to attract those bucks. But that's how that works. So when the does come back in and they're in heat, they'll rub those same limbs, lick them, and urinate here, and then the bucks can follow them, and they end up meeting up for a date. Okay, this is what a really good bedding area looks like, you guys. I'll try to get down below it. You can see everything's really low, hung over, you know, just hard to get into. Deer love this for bedding down. It gives them really good cover, and it's perfect for them to stay out of sight and also out of the weather. This breaks up the wind as it comes through. They can see through it, so if somebody's walking your side of it, you know, they can see them, but obviously the person on the outside really can't see them because all the stuff in the way, unless you're a big black dog walking by the white snow. And that's how deer look almost when it's snowing out. That's how we like the snow, but we've gotten our share of snow this year. So, all right, there you go. Okay, here's my blind, guys. I usually have a much better blind setup. It's more brushed in, not sticking out so much, but I'm actually overlooking that area there. I don't see you can see it very well because of the sun going down, but one of the things you can do is use some natural cover. So what I'll show you, if we come in here, forgive the huffing and puffing, I'm old and fat. So if you look, there's all these vines and small saplings and whatnot. I'm actually hunting this area, but you can shoot through that stuff if you pick the right holes and make some holes for yourself without tearing it all down. And what that does for you, it breaks up your pattern, so when the deer come through there, you don't stick out like a sore thumb. So the other thing I want to do is come around here and just show you this blind. So this blind is a Maristep blind. Guys, this is all you can afford. These aren't bad little blinds, but the problem with these, the biggest problem with these things is right in here, there's rings. It's a metal ring that goes all the way through on each side. So there's 4 rings, okay? When you're done, those rings, you actually twist those up, or you're supposed to be able to twist those up into thirds, and it twists in on itself and is, you know, comes about as big as a hula hoop, excuse me. The problem with that is I've never had good luck twisting them back up. They just have a mind of their own. If you can take one step more and buy the ones a little more stout, they have tent poles in them that have turnbuckles, I would suggest doing that. just because they're a lot more solid in the wind. They don't flap around. I don't know if you can tell, but the top of it, the roof of it's caved in. I have to take a PVC pole out here to hold the roof up for me. Like I said, if that's what's in your budget, they do work. I've shot deer out of this thing, but if you have a choice, I'd go one step bigger and get the ones with the turnbuckles and the tent posts. So that's what you got. All right, back in the pipe rest. One of the things I wanted to say about those bedding areas is it's best not to hunt those bedding areas. And why I say that is because if you get in there and start kicking around, especially your more mature deer won't frequent that area as much. They have very good smell. Matter of fact, when I go out, with the exception of this year because all those trees had fallen I was rubbing up against, I try not to touch anything. Other than walking on the ground, I try not to touch trees, I read articles where guys have leaned up against a tree and grabbed onto it and then went to their stand and they watched a buck go right up to that tree, sniff it and turn around, literally back up, turn around and go the other way. Same thing with cameras. If you have trail cameras up, which are just small cameras you put on the tree and they take pictures, they're motion sensing cameras, take pictures of the bucks or the deer going by. And same thing, if you put that too low and you've had your hands all over that, they've got, some of them take video and they've got video of the bucks that'll walk up to them, smell them, and then back up and go the other way. So, and then never see it again for that season. So it's a good thing to try not to hunt those bedding areas, just leave them be. I had a property for years and years. I absolutely loved this property. I actually overlooked a cornfield, on the edge of a cornfield, and behind me, probably 20 feet off the cornfield, was a state land, but it was Department of Transportation land, so nobody could hunt it. I'd never went in there. I go in there to track my deer, but I just sat in that 20-foot strip and faced the field, and since I never went in there, they never felt pushed out of there. And every year I'd get a nice buck. And if you look at some of my older videos that I did in my barn, you'll see all those racks on the wall behind me, and those are all off that state land, or off that deer that came off that state land. And the other thing I wanted to mention too was it's not all about the bucks. So when you're deer hunting, if you're hunting the same property over and over again, they do what's called deer management. So if you get your buck to doe ratio is off, which I can't even remember what it is right now. It's been so long since I've tried to manage a property. You shoot more bucks than does or whatever to kind of equal that out. I want to say it's 1 buck to 3 doe is a healthy ratio, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, so, you don't just hunt bucks. Now, some guys do. Some guys go out there to look for trophies. I'll be honest with you. My first deer of the season, if it's brown, it's down. And that doesn't mean, that's not because I just want to kill something. I think deer are a wonderfully beautiful, majestic animal. They're one of the most majestic animals on the face of the earth in my mind. I've always said that if I go hunting and I see deer, that's a successful hunt. But I also want meat in my freezer. So first one, brown is down, and then after that, I look, I'll look for a bigger trophy buck if I can, but it's not the highest thing on my list. It's like, yeah, it's nice to be able to show the pictures around and stuff, but there's more to it than just going out in the woods and killing things. And I think I wish a lot more people could understand that don't like hunters. Because, and there are some people out there, hunters out there that are like that, but I think some people that don't like hunters are like, I don't know why you got to go kill things, and why do you hate them so much, or why do you have this bloodlust? And it's none of that. I mean, if you talk to real hunters, they will tell you, it's like, I want that shot to be as close to the heart as possible through both lungs. I want that deer to die as fast as possible. Why? Because I want it not to suffer. I don't want that thing to suffer. That goes for my bow hunting, my gun hunting. I do not want the animal to suffer. I've had a couple of bad shots and watched some deer suffer, and it absolutely broke my heart. Absolutely broke my heart when it happens before. So you do things to make sure that doesn't happen again, or do your best so it doesn't happen again. And the bottom line is that most deaths of deer by hunters are much less traumatic than the way they would normally die. Because if it weren't for hunters, you'd have deer that were hit by disease and spend days, weeks, months sick and suffering. There's trail cam videos of coyotes chasing deer through the woods and taking one bite at a time after the deer gets tired, and then it'll run some more, and it's horrible to watch. It's a horrible thing to see. So usually if you place your shot right, which the shot you want to get through both lungs at minimum, if you place your shot right, a deer usually, depending on what you're using, bow or what type of gun, will run 100 yards. A lot of them, the goal is with the gun is drop them right there. Actually with both is the goal is drop them right there. But normally with the gun you drop them quicker. But they'll run anywhere from nothing to up to 100 yards if you hit them right. And that 100 yards takes them 15, 20 seconds to do. I mean, if that. It's a much more humane way for them to die. But I will tell you that even me talking about it now, talking about killing deer and how they die and whatnot, feels a little weird when I'm talking about hunting, because I don't glory in that. I don't, yeah, I killed that guy. It's more about, look at this beautiful animal. And I understand a lot of hunters don't understand that. They're like, how can you say it's a beautiful animal and you just slaughtered it? Well, I didn't slaughter it. I gave a very humane death. I'm feeding my family. And it's just part of the circle of life. It truly is. So if you want to know more about deer hunting, my email is on my page, let me know. Or if and obviously, as always, you leave comments down below. Yeah, if you want to see more videos on hunting, let me know. I don't know what my next outdoors one's going to be, but it'll probably actually one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. The one video I did when I took a hike in the woods, I'm going to put that in a series as well, so it's all in the same package. But it's kind of fun doing these. Like I said, I don't know how often I'll be able to do them, but let me know what you think, and if there's something that you would like to see. Or more of something you'd like to see, just let me know. So, guys, as always, I hope you're doing well. And until next time, you take care.